All right, and we're back. We had a couple weeks off. I had some busy stuff going on, but boy, I'm excited to talk to you about some of the things that I've seen at the World Ag Expo. It was quite an eye opener. I haven't been there for about 12 years, and so I was happy to be involved with that. So, anyway, once again, this is the Organic Mechanic with Kelp4Less.com and the Hydro Weight Undisputed Reigning Defending Champion of the World, Harley Smith.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be here again. Yeah, I'm anxious to hear about your trip a little bit, what you saw, what's new out there, what's exciting.
There's a lot of integrated pest management solutions going out there, a
Mm,
lot of IPM that I was exposed to, I didn't know. One of the craziest things I've seen, of course, it's for agriculture, but
mhm,
it's an unmanned drone of sorts that goes through the field and spots weeds and hits those weeds with lasers. So it just crawls up and down the field and identifies those and hits them with lasers. Unbelievable. And some of the technology with drones and the automation. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Very, very neat to see. One thing I was very happy with is so many young children, teenagers, young college students
mhm.
were there amongst the thousands and thousands of people there. But I got a chance to talk to quite a few as they were walking by, and a lot of the high school students and young college kids were there for the technology, the drones, the automation, the
Yeah,
just some of the applications being implemented in agriculture, and that's good because it's kind of making them involved more of in the growing community or farming community at a young age. And boy, we need them. We really do need them. And the
yeah,
technology is just moving so fast.
yeah. Think about that when get the AI involved with that too. Those drones could measure different colors, the different symptoms of some nutrient imbalance really early on, and make decisions and give us some more input as to how to be more precise in our IPM. Not just spray the whole field, just really attack where the problem is and be specific on what the plants need. That sounds really cool.
Exactly.
I've been thinking about that lately.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that too. A lot of programs and field, images from space, field images from drones, and they're really compiling a lot of really good data that makes us more aware. And it, it brought me to the conclusion, with some of our talks, a lot of what we can really do in a greenhouse, hands-on and technology-wise, now it's kind of moving out to a broad scope into like the big agriculture and the ag fields and things like that. Very interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Taking it to a new level.
That's right.
The precision fertilizer management that I'm working with in the grow rooms get specific for different cultivars too. Well, to be able to do that in the field is very important. To be able to, like we've
Yeah,
talked about with IPM, what's one of the biggest things is overdoing it with nitrogen. So if we can
exactly.
give it just the price, if in agriculture, just the right amount of nitrogen for healthy growth and healthy yield without overdoing it. And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to be very precise on where you present it. So right there can help protect the environment from runoff, have healthier
Mhm.
plants and more disease-resistant plants too. And that's just one
Right.
thing.
Exactly. And then kind of in our space, I've seen this equipment. It actually will measure, they call it the microbiome meter. And so you take a small sample of soil within the top 3 inches and you mix it with some of their reagent, and then you pour it on like a special strip of paper. It kind of reminded me of like what you would do, the old fashioned blood sugar meter. You dump
Oh,
that. and then it separates it and it comes out to a color, and you scan it with your phone, and after you scan it, it tells you your bacteria to fungi ratios.
Hmm.
I unbelievable.
Yeah, I think we're living in the future. If we finally caught up with the future,
Yeah,
to
it,
just
it was it was so intriguing. Um, I I had to get it. I have to get this. We have to figure out how to use it. I have to. Um, yeah, I need to really see if it'll help, which I'm sure it will. But it almost sounds too good to be true. So I had to pick that up.
yeah, that yeah that does that is that's interesting.
Hmm.
Bacteria to fungi ratio. One of these days, maybe with AI, they'll be able to identify specific strains of bacteria and fungi too. Just
Yeah.
who knows what the future holds? Not now,
Yeah.
obviously, but maybe we'll get to some of that CPR stuff and in the future, and they'll be able to read genetics just like that.
That's right. That's right. And and if you take that technology and if we extrapolate that further in the future and they can identify strains like what you're talking about, that could be a vital key to IPM, to for pest management and things like that. I can see where that could be very, very useful.
Me too. Me too. So, yeah, what else? Anything else you saw?
Oh
There
boy.
was.
The area of coverage of this thing, I call it Disneyland for farmers. There were some of the most unique displays. This one display, they had a mini orchard set up, and I would say it's probably the size of a football field. And they had fake turf rolled out, and then they had artificial trees planted, actually simulating a real orchard. And what they were doing, they were demonstrating their drone equipment and I guess drone equipment and land uh, automated drone, I mean, unmanned things that they would drive themselves up and down the road, up and down the rows, and one drone would trim and cut, and another drone would spray, and they actually have this self-picking that picks the oranges, self-picking, automated picking from the tree. Just unbelievable, unbelievable. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to see all these robots in a field, and they were just simulating, some of their products and technologies on, you know, eliminating. It's eliminating, the need for, I guess, employees. Is kind of how I took it. Um, all this unmanned stuff and crime, and you take a look at the world, and a lot of the world is leaning that way. And boy, they've come out with some really neat technology and automation.
That's cool. More food with fewer resources. Human race needs that. But we
That's right.
also know, you and I know, need not just more food. We need high nutrition, nutritionally dense food, you
Hmm.
know, with more vitamins and antioxidants to help protect us and for the quality of life, which is
Yeah.
what seems to be going down over the years in conventional agriculture. Maybe this is a little bit of a turn toward improving the quality too by using technology.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was most amazed at the automation, and I was also amazed at a lot of the products up and coming for pest management and disease management. And there's a big
Hmm.
swift, there's a big trend in getting away from a lot of these harsh chemicals and harsh treatments. And it was neat to see some of the creativity of some of these products people you are using to deter pests and things like that. So I picked up a lot of information about those. I haven't really studied them, so I can't really address. Um, uh, I have to, learn a little bit more before I start talking, just spewing things out of my mouth. But some really interesting products.
Yeah.
I'm going to look further into.
Yeah. Well, this morning, I actually watched like a little documentary on television before we're doing our thing this morning on the power of plants, and it was talking about the how the plants defend themselves. And I think that's an area too, Brandon, we need more study in biology. What mechanisms do plants use to protect themselves against pest and disease? And if we understand the biology of the plant and what the plant, it's naturally, what chemicals it makes and when and how it responds, then we could help stimulate the plant's natural resistance to pests and disease more too. So yeah, we can have technology is great. To measure is to know. That's the tool. But we also need to understand the biology. We need to find the ways to work with nature in an intelligent way. That's from what I'm seeing this morning. And my mind started going, part of the things with the increasing bricks that we've talked about. We
Yeah.
increase bricks, the plant has more energy to make those secondary metabolites that fight off pests and disease. So you don't have to spray. You can reduce or eliminate the need for a lot of the pesticides and fungicides out there, and increase the nutritional value of the food at the same time for us. So yeah, I'm getting inspired again to look more deeply at the plant's natural resistance and how it works. See if there's a way we can accentuate that instead of fight against it.
Yeah, it's important. It's important, like a more holistic approach, to pest management, rather than just wait and hope you don't get it, or wait and see if, something happens. Yeah, we can understand some of these biological functions to, prepare or to nurture our plants, and just exactly what you said, to do it on their own, which
Right.
that's a plant wants to stay alive as bad as anything else that's out there, and
Hmm.
they've got those functions in them. We just need to, yeah, learn more how to express them in the
Hmm.
plant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited about what we're doing. Is that we're seeing not just holistic in kind of a, I don't know, holistic way, but we're seeing the interactions with the microbes and the nutrients and the uptake and the biostimulants, because the biostimulants are just natural. That's that's just working with nature. We're taking extracts from microbes, extracts from plants. Um, so yeah, what we're doing, I think, is so critical for the future of agriculture. Uh, Now, one of I wanted to ask you though, sometimes no matter how careful we are, we're growing these strong, healthy plants, great. They're more resistant. We've eliminated 90% of the problems, let's say. But nature still finds a way. Sometimes we have a grower, a gardener, no matter how careful they are, they're going to have some problems with pests and disease. They're going to get some outbreaks. And for me, one of the big things about that is to catch it early. If you can catch it right when it's starting, you can spot treat and you can get control of it fast, knock them down. If you wait until it's an infestation, it's kind of a losing battle. So I wanted to ask you, what are, especially with organics, and which we all agree on is the best way, other than, chemicals are really the last resort in special circumstances. But what are some of your strategies if there is an outbreak of a pest or
Yeah.
disease? Pick one that's common and what do you do about it? What do you recommend?
Okay. Yeah, you bet. The first thing we do, especially in organic crop, is get a hold of our insectary and see if there's some beneficial predatory insect that can come and help uh, eliminate or battle that problem. That's kind of my first two, and they've really got that science dialed in as well. And so, a lot of predatory mites and boy, there's so many. I've lost. They're not. I can't get them out of my brain on the tip of my tongue. Praying mantises, ladybugs, things like that, and that's a whole part of an integrated pest management that really help. And that's something you can do to prevent break out as well. So, a lot of organic growers do that on a basis. Um, However, that's not always 100% successful. A lot of neem oils is, being used and very creative ways for a lot of different pests and things like that. Um, what we found too is a lot of the pests we bring into our gardens, especially indoor, is coming from bagged soil, and
Hmm.
and it really is. And so, no matter how hot they treat it or how sterile it is when they bag it, a lot of them we pay for them in the soil and bring it into our greenhouses and so on and so forth, or our gardens that way. And so what we found is if we can inoculate bagged soil early with some of our microbial blends, our myco plus inoculants, things like that, that helps balance the nature in there, and a lot of the insect eggs and insect larvae and things like that really get outcompeted in the very early stages of their life. And the use of the diatomaceous earth can be a good one for gnats and those eggs and on top of your soil and things like that. So those are some ideas and things that we relay to a lot of our customers.
Hmm. Yeah, one of the things in hydroponics is we don't have the soil, so we have an advantage right there. There's no soil-borne pest and disease, but it doesn't mean there's no pest and disease. It's just not
Right.
soil-borne. Some of it's waterborne, which you have to be careful about too. Make sure we have plenty of oxygen, those kinds of things. But yeah, one of the things I think for like rockwool to protect against fungus gnats,
Yeah.
instead of the diatomaceous earth, which you could use that too with soilless mixes. It helps the surface, but just keeping the light off the surface with the blocking the light. You block the
Oh.
light from the surface, then there's no light, there's no algae. If there's no
Oh.
algae, there's no fungus gnats because the fungus gnats laid their eggs in the algae. And then the larvae go down into the root zone and start nibbling on the root hairs. That opens up
Oh,
to an
okay.
infection. So if we can just keep the surface a little drier or keep the light off the surface in some way, that helps a lot. Now in the Netherlands, where they were growing in cocoa, say for strawberry growers, what they would do is they would use cocoa fiber, cocoa coir is their substrate, but then they would add a layer of expanded clay pellets on the bottom of the pots for better drainage, more oxygen. It's not sitting in a puddle. And they'd add a layer on the top because there was more air, but it kept the light off the surface. And by doing that, just a couple of layers, they were improving the productivity and reducing fungus or eliminating fungus gnats. Basically, I'm not going to say anything eliminates. There's no such thing on planet Earth, but so at the point where they weren't even a nuisance. Let's put it that way. So yeah, there's some simple cultural practices that can be used too in prevention.
That's right. That's right. Uh, I talked to this one vendor. He does automated dissolved oxygen monitoring, and you can increase DO up or down. And I need to look into this a little bit more too, because he said a lot of soil-borne pathogens and things like that. If you can adjust the dissolved oxygen content of your water, that helps out with a lot of root pathogens as well, he said. And I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. That's very interesting.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big benefits or pluses for hydroponics is you can control the dissolved oxygen level so precisely. And if you get that higher levels of dissolved oxygen, it will kill the anaerobic fungi on contact. You've seen it. There's aeroponic systems or even deep water culture. The roots are in water 24/7 and they're
Yeah,
snowy white and they're growing and they're healthy and there's no signs of any kind of root rot. That's because
exactly.
it isn't overwatering that kills the plant, it's lack of oxygen. keep that
Mhm.
dissolved oxygen high. And I think that's key too, because a lot of times I'll go into a grow room because they're having problems, and it looks like nutrient deficiencies. Well, that looks like magnesium. Well, that looks like iron, or that looks like nitrogen. And you're seeing different symptoms. So that gives me a clue. If you're giving them all the nutrients they need, maybe there's a problem with the roots that's going on. If those roots are dying back because of lack of oxygen, then those some of those like calcium and iron is only taken up from the root, the growing tips, actively growing roots. And if that's dying back, plants are going to get nutrient deficiencies. So when all else fails, I'm looking at pH and EC, the nutrients, I'm still seeing nutrient deficiencies. I look at the roots. And that's harder to see sometimes, but that gives me a big clue. Um,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
dissolved oxygen is the number one part of that, of healthy roots.
And as a matter of fact, that equipment I'm looking at getting is set up for uh, some of our bioreactors,
Hmm.
and
Exactly.
yeah, and maintaining consistent, exact levels, and just see how much further we can take that process too. I think it'd be a great tool to use because, yeah, that these handheld meters and checking it all the time and calibrating and things like this. Boy, his system it's in line and you can adjust it remotely and maintain it or bring it up and bring it down. So I'm very intrigued by that too.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Where was that? Where did you go? Was that in the United States?
Yeah, it's in Tulare, California.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's called the World Ag Expo. And
Okay.
yeah, vendors from all over the world are there. And yeah, just a huge, huge 3 day event.
Yeah. I've been fortunate. I was able to attend some world conferences on hydroponics in Amsterdam a couple of years, and they did it in conjunction with the floral industry. But then they had
Hmm.
this whole other thing. And 20 years ago, wait a minute, let me think, where is this? Back over 20, almost 25 years ago, they had robotics. They were showing robotics at these shows to be able to handle the crops and to separate them so they had the right amount of light as the plants were growing, so the leaves weren't crossing. The robots would do that. They they had equipment in line back then that would test for individual nutrients, individual ions, in real time, tie that into the
Wow.
computer so they could make adjustments. And that was, we didn't even, I said, wow, this is really great. They have this equipment in the United States? No, we don't even have that in the United States, only here in Europe. That's how
Huh.
far ahead they are. And I still haven't seen it here in the United States. Most of the growers I've been to here in hydroponics are still doing drain to waste, not even doing recirculating. So yeah, it opens up your eyes when you go to a conference like that where you see the leading edge of technology in different
Yeah,
parts of the world.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It you walk away from it thinking, boy, I'm back in the Stone Ages.
Yeah. No,
Doing
but
it the
we're
hard way.
yeah, but it's good though. I mean, it's progress, and that's all that matters. Making incremental progress. If we can slowly increase bricks, little by little, that's good. That's a good day. Yeah, I've had some. We talk about bricks and how important that is for pest management too, because I've heard from organic gardeners. I don't know if this is scientifically proven, but I've heard that if you can grow such healthy plants that the bricks is above 12%. I've heard that sucking insects won't recognize it as food. They won't. They'll go someplace else. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
true, but I know there is a relationship between bricks and the plant's natural resistance because I've seen it myself. I've grown high bricks plants outdoors in hydroponics and never see one aphid. You know, never have any problems with mold and mildew. So I know there is a relationship, but I can't say that it's related to a specific number. But yeah,
Yeah, we
so
see it all the time. We see it all the time in outdoor agriculture. Yeah, 12 bricks and higher. the plant really has a really good natural defense with that. And, it's easy to prove just with your Brix meter. I mean, you can go pull a Brix meter out in the field anytime. And
Yeah.
yeah, we can go side by side, field to field, and one field's getting eaten alive by beetles or whatever. And the field next to it, well, it's 2 or 3 points higher in Brix. And, it's not getting touched. So I, I think I've said this before. One of, uh, one of an ag professor that I listen to all the time, he says that in in farming, those insects that devour crops are nature's garbage collectors,
Mm.
and that's what he calls it. He says they're trying to tell us that it's a crop not fit for human consumption. Yeah, so, and that's why they stay away from the high bricks field. I mean, that's what he says. I'm just repeating what he says, but he feels very strong about it, very passionate about the health of the plants.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And you have Hybrix plants too. They taste better
Hmm.
for it's going to have better flavor. And yeah, I've worked with some growers, and when they started getting into doing Hybrix, is they couldn't believe how good vegetables tasted. I've worked with children that were growing indoors and with hydroponics, and they would literally, I've seen fifth graders literally jumping up and down with excitement to have me taste a green bean that they grew indoors under lights. That's wow. If we're teaching a generation not to accept all this crap that's in
Yeah.
the stores in the market, that they only no, that's how I only want the ones that taste really good. That's going to be high bricks. We could have a whole new generation because the farmers still, they're not getting paid by bricks in general. They're getting
Hmm.
paid by yield. So what's the goal of the farmer? Well, how many pounds per acre can I produce or per
That's
square
right.
foot? Because that's what I need to be able to keep the lights on and keep. But if we could grow, we get paid by quality. I think accept a 10% decrease in yield for a 3% increase in bricks.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, me
Absolutely.
personally, I do it all day long for my own garden, for my own food, so I have the best of the best. So really, there has to be I think, a whole paradigm shift in what we accept and for flavors. And but also, I noticed when I was in the Netherlands, the quality of the food was so much better over there. The vegetables really did taste good because they were they had so great a control of the environment and the nutrient of the plant. So yeah. Now one thing I will say though about the bricks, which that's my goal, always get higher and higher bricks. But a lot of times the growers will get discouraged because they say my bricks is at 7%. Okay. I'll say, well, that's about average. I've seen worse, but just say 7% now is your gold standard. Now your goal isn't I got to get to 12%. The goal is, well, maybe I can get to 8, 7.5, then 8, then 9, then 12, then 12. So don't look at it as if pass fail. Look at it as keep improving, keep making adjustments, judiciously use your biostimulants, get your fertilizer balanced better, get your environment better, just small little incremental changes until you get that 12%. So don't get discouraged. If you're at 6%, well, 6% is where I am today. That's good. The plants look pretty good to me. Just do better.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's important. You were talking about the kids growing their own food. There's, you know, there's a lot of food you can grow your own and bypass a grocery store, and it's pretty easy. And you don't need a lot of room to do it, and you can do it all year round. And yeah, again, we talk about this so many times. I hope more of us as of humans will do that on a personal basis, and it's fun, it's good for you, and it tastes good. Start
Well
small.
said. Well said.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got my bricks, my very first bricks refractometer. I got it in the mail. Oh, I got my bricks refractometer, and I was testing my bricks and doing this and then, and my own crops. Wow, my bricks was up there. I was using biostimulants. I was off the chart. I'm like, oh, there's the premium quality. Mine's higher than that. I'm like, yeah, this is great. But then I said, oh, let me test. I wanted to test everything. So I get my food from the grocery store. I check the bricks, and it was on the low end. I said, man, this stuff is crap. I've been accepting this, thinking it was good food for all these years. I didn't even know better. Now,
Yep.
in the Netherlands too, I don't know if they do it here. Maybe you know, but like at the greenery in Amsterdam, they would measure bricks, and low, medium, and high bricks equated to low, medium, and high quality. It affected the price. I
Mm,
don't know. Did we do that in the United States too, or with produce
no.
buyers? No?
We do. I know the sugar beet industry does that because
Yeah,
they're processing beets for sugar.
sugar.
So the higher sugar content, the more you get paid. But that's the only one I know of.
Hmm. Okay, well, there's our new mission. You know
There we
what though?
go.
I think I've really educated people. If I'm going to be proud of one thing over the years, I think I've educated a lot of people about bricks, especially
Yes,
the
you have.
hydroponic growers that
Yes,
haven't
yes,
really
you have.
learned about it. And I can feel proud of that. I have some people now that their sign for or whatever their web address, they have bricks as part of the name of their site or their web address or their email. Now I'm going, okay, we're making a little difference along the way.
Yeah, thank you for that effort. Don't stop. Keep doing it. We need more people like that. We need more people talking about this. One
Mm.
quick note here before we have to end. I know we're going a little long on
Oh,
time
we
here,
are.
but
Mm.
I I got to meet and got their contact information of a couple professors in soil biology. And
Mm-hmm.
we had some really good conversations. And we were talking about this same thing that, the addition of microbials and releasing more nutrients in the plants and getting the bricks
Mm-hmm.
up. And they're well aware of that. And they were telling me it's such a hard sell in the industry because of the fact that you relayed on earlier. They're going for yield, not quality.
Mm.
And he made a statement. He made a very valuable statement that not all of them, but a high percentage of producers in the United States, they need to get their product to the distributor and into the grocery store, and they could care less if it rots in our fridge or rots on our
Yeah.
shelf. Or so, this high bricks movement, they equate something that it's going to cost them more money to do it, and they're not getting paid on the other end. So, and still, until we can adopt a practice like what you described in Europe, we're kind of stuck on a treadmill. But interesting.
Yeah. 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 Because it doesn't end this after it's been purchased at the grocery store. Um, One of the things with the high bricks they were telling me overseas is that they had 2 weeks more shelf life with the
Exactly.
higher bricks
Right.
plants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sue and I were selling lettuce for a while there to the stores and locally stores and restaurants, and they said they were able to keep it in the refrigerators for 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's a big
just the
difference.
yeah, big difference. And then they serve it, and it was just as good because it didn't degrade. It had more stored sugars, it had stronger, thicker cell walls, more shelf life. But again, the
Absolutely.
farmer once they sell it, it's well, okay, it's done. I got my money. Now it's your problem.
Yeah.
And the distributors can say the same thing. But the consumer has to be the judge, and they have
Yeah.
to be educated, and not just about bricks. They need to be educated on how to judge the quality of their food and not accept anything that is worse. Here in Michigan, I just had salad with some of the with tomatoes that had no flavor in the middle of the
Yeah.
winter. And we just, oh, we accept that. Oh, I just can't buy a good tomato in the middle of the winter. I can
Right.
pick them from my garden in my basement, right off the vine. Tastes like they came out of the garden in in August, and they also have very high sugar content because I know how to do that, so that they're sweet. And And they're meatier. They're not water balls. Anyway, never mind. So somehow we have to make this more of a backwards. Have the provide this high quality food and maybe charge a little more for it to the consumer. And they say it's worth it. That's what I want. I don't want this crap. And then maybe that will start to have a backwards effect on the production. What the distributors handle, what the farmers grow. Maybe I'm an optimist, but that would be great. But these
Something to
kids
look
that I've
forward
been
to.
teaching, they've been introduced to what a green bean tastes like, and compare that
Mhm.
with something frozen, or compare that with something out of a can. I don't. I could go on. Sue will tell you when she had her hydroponic greenhouse, and we were using biostimulants too. Um, the parents would come in. What did you do to my child? She goes, "Uh oh, what's going on here?" You know, they said they won't eat any vegetables unless they come from your facility now. So they had to set up a community supported agriculture program so that the parents could come in and buy food that their teenagers would eat, and they actually liked the vegetables. So I don't know. I think that's enough. We're over time. I could go on and on, but um, yeah, let's do what we're doing. Let's use technology to our advantage. Let's use biology to our advantage. Let's put the two together in an intelligent way, like we're doing. Let's get a whole system going, and maybe we can change the world in an
Yeah,
environmentally responsible way.
that's right. Yep, one plant at a time, one garden at a time, one bill at a time.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. This is very interesting. Thanks for your report on your trip too. That was eye opening.
Yeah, yeah. And we can get into some more topics in other episodes too. I want to run by. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. Looking forward to this spring.
Okay. Yep. And I'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks, Harley.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.